All right, hello friends. Noisy cars going by at the moment. My name is Dan Still, same as it was. Not Dan Still, my name's Dan Nelson, but you know what I meant. Daily Art Adventure number 748. Creeping up on that next magical number of 750. Thank you. I am once again in downtown Charleston. It's a beautiful, truly amazingly beautiful downtown Charleston, South Carolina. And had a nice supper break with my wife and our dear sister-in-law Donna. Let me go ahead and zoom in here. Somebody saying hi already. Karen again. Karen Maraid. Maraid, good for you. Already greeting each other. Way to go, Maraid. You learned the ropes really fast, my dear. I'm nearly finished with, at least for now, at least this layer, with the top of this steeple. I want to go ahead and do some blue sky up here. Let me repeat, and Maraid, bless you. Good to have you. Thanks for speaking up, for being here for, I think, watching me for the first time. Is that right? Jumping in with both feet. So I'll repeat for your sake and others some of the most common things that I say about my painting technique. I help you get up to speed as quickly as possible. My name's Dan Nelson. I was born a poor black child, etc., etc. Steve Martin, I ain't. No, I was born, my dad was a very good hobby painter. It wasn't his profession, could have been, but so being the adoring young eldest born son, by the time I went out to kindergarten, I thought I was going to be an artist like my daddy. So I've been an artist really, for all practical purposes, been an artist my whole life. Mostly as a freelance illustrator throughout much of my adult life. And really didn't start oil painting till I was, 44, 5, 6 years old, somewhere. But that's really deceiving. You know, if I say I didn't start painting till I was 45, that's complete. That's complete. To try to pass myself off as someone who started painting at age 45 would be completely dishonest. Again, because I was a full-time professional artist for decades before that. I just did everything but oil paint, that's all. But the first time I picked up an oil painting and oil paints in a brush, since childhood, I messed around with it as a kid. But the first time I picked it up, I went, dang, why didn't somebody tell me this was so easy? And indeed, oil painting is the easiest medium, I believe, absolutely the easiest medium on the planet. That's why it's so popular, not because it's the hardest or most highbrow, even though it sort of does have the, you know, the shtick, the reputation of being the, you know, kind of the snooty. But don't let that kid you. It's the easiest. It's a big part of the reason it's so popular. Over the centuries I'm talking about. Anyway, and I have very unintentionally never set out to be a weird painter. Never set out to try to, you know, what's the word? Develop a style. I'm pretty much against the notions of developing a style on purpose. A style picks you, is what I typically say. You don't pick it. A style develops from your hard work. Anything else is phony, and there are a lot of people who pick a style, and I think it's phony. Now, let's just get that right out there, okay? Now, style just evolves out of hard work. Anyway, so my technique has been, for the last 15 years, what I did on this painting. Acrylics underneath and oil on top. Everything else, oh, transparent acrylics underneath, I can add that. I started this 15 years ago. That's a story, I won't tell it now, because it actually has a very particular genesis, how that technique evolved, but I'll spare you the details. I'll do that another time. I've told it here before. And I've taken many twists and turns over the past 15 years, but pretty much that has been consistent. That is, layers of transparent acrylic underneath, followed by transparent and then opaque layers of oil on top. So, as I said, I didn't set out to be weird, it just turned out that way. There were moments several years ago when I did question and wonder if I had gotten a little too weird. I got over that pretty quickly. I didn't worry about that for a long time, but it did cross my mind. And coming from a place, as an illustrator, coming from a place where I was a tight, realistic painter, and again, you can still see work from that era on my website, dannelsonart.com, if you want to take a look. Coming from that, the whole transition really to what I now call second half of life was pretty abrupt. Again, there's a story behind that. I've gone into it in the past, so I don't want to do that right now, but it was a pretty sudden. But as soon as I made that adjustment, it's like the scales fell from my eyes and I began to understand painting at a much deeper level than I had back in the day when I was doing accurate realism. I'll tell you a funny story. One of the most fun galleries I've ever been a part of was Waverly Place Gallery in Cary, North Carolina. It was a very, very different kind of gallery. It was truly a community. All the artists represented there were friends. And we became friends, that is to say, after we joined the gallery, and only people were invited to join the gallery who looked like they would be friends with. Anyway, and there was one of our more stellar members of the group was my friend named David Stickle. You can Google him. You will not be disappointed. David Stickle, hyper-realist watercolor, and brilliant, and the friendliest guy. He's one. I joke about people like this. He was so friendly, he kind of made you sick. And be completely, what's the word, silly, of course. I mean, I say that by, like, when you try to compare yourself to him, to those kind of people, it makes you sick because you don't feel like you measure up. Do you know what I'm talking about? I think I'm a pretty nice guy until I think about Dave Stickle, and I go, oh, I'm really not. Anyway, all this is to tell you a story. So I used to point at David's paintings in his presence and say, yeah, I used to paint like that, hyper-realistic, you know. And I said, but I took pills and got over it. And it was only mildly funny because it was mildly true, because I did indeed used to do pretty realistic stuff. And I didn't take pills, but I did get over it. One day, and he always laughed good-natured. He was a very fun guy. One day he pointed at my paintings and he said, yeah, well, I used to paint like that. Of course, I was in 6th grade. Just like now. I still laugh years later. I just died laughing. I said, David, please don't ever stop saying that. That is so funny. Anyway. And it's only funny because there's a grain of truth in it. Maybe more than a grain in his case. Anyway. So, I used to be tight, now I'm loose. And I'm loose because of my philosophical, I feel that my philosophical understanding, my deep, if you will, forgive me, my deep understanding of what I understand the aesthetics experience to be. So the fact that I paint in all these ways is not an accident or mistake. It is very much because I have discovered what it is that, to a large degree, I don't mean completely by any means, it's a mystery, but to some degree I've discovered what it is that moves people when they look at our artwork. So my techniques have followed that understanding, which is different from the way most people learn how to paint and then go from there. In my case, my painting technique has followed my philosophy, my, if you will, deep-ish understanding of what creates an aesthetic experience. Now, I was actually going somewhere with this. Yeah, so, one of the most important concepts of my painting is this, or descriptions, I guess I should say, not concepts. One of the most important descriptors of my painting is that my goal is to create enough chaos in the underpainting so that when I come to the later stages, which I'm in later stages now, so when I come to the later stages of the painting process, I have plenty to respond to. There's a lot of energy in the underneath layers, so that when I come to the over layers, I'm not fishing around for things to do. The painting presents itself to me, presents me with, the canvas presents me with lots of ideas, lots of information, so that I don't have to wonder what to do next. Most of what I do in the later stages is amply suggested to me by the chaos, if you will, that is coming through from the underneath layers. Right? Does that make sense? All right, that's maybe done for now. This needs work, but this building over here really needs a lot of work. And I say that sort of, what's the word, tongue-in-cheek, or the word lot in quotation marks, because it's not really a lot. In fact, it would be a real disaster if I were to plaster, to do too much on this building. But I need to do some, for sure. So I guess I'll clean these brushes a little bit. I admire Mark Carder and others who don't use any solvent to clean their brushes. I just haven't figured out a way to do that myself yet. I don't know. All right, so let's tackle this building, not literally. Wow, look at you guys are chatting up a storm. I'm sorry I'm ignoring you. Let me look for a minute. Do I clean windows? No, but we just replaced all the windows in our house. Hey, Travis. You're exactly right. Morade, from that's a good way to put it, from chaos to order. That's right, that's good. And in painting, we progress, we proceed from tightness to freedom as well. That's a sort of a, likewise, a sort of a broad philosophical statement. In all of life, in much of life, that is the trajectory, that is growth, that is the growth trajectory in much of life. From stricture, do you know that word? From tightness, if you will, to freedom. In music, we practice and practice and practice and practice and practice. Scales, arpeggios, exercises, technique of every kind. We practice so that when the time comes to play music, we play in freedom. The beginner student, almost on any melodic instrument, piano, violin, brass, woodwind, anything, the student early in her career plays scales, dun 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 dun, and plays them over and over and over again. So after several years, when they're in high school, say if they've continued, they don't play a scale one note at a time. They play a scale by playing the entire scale. Their mind is play the scales, then the scale is done. They're not playing one note at a time. The same way in art. You start out thinking dun 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 dun. And the more and more and more you practice, the more intuitive and second nature. Another word would be unconscious competence, if you're familiar with that grid. We go from unconscious incompetence to conscious incompetence to conscious competence to unconscious competence. Did I say that right? Just Google it. Anyway, indeed, we do. It was only a couple months ago that I started using the verbiage where I talk about first half of the art journey, second half of art journey, and proceeding, progressing, even processing, like in a dance or a choreography, proceeding from tightness to looseness. And more in recent weeks, I've been reflecting that really all of life is supposed to be that way. In all of life, healthy life, we are supposed to proceed from, again, I like the word stricture. Say S-T, T as in Tom, strict, like the word strict, stricture, from tightness. We proceed from tightness to freedom. Not everybody makes that transition. And we won't look down on those who don't, but I will try to encourage anybody under my influence to make that same transition, not just as artists, but as human beings. It is good to start out with stricture. When our kids were little, you know, they were forbidden to run out the front door and play in the street, as you might expect. We were decent parents. We said, you cannot run out the door and play in the street. They would be, you know, reprimanded, what to them seemed like severely, if they did such a thing, because we didn't want to be picking up their bloody, crumpled bodies from the middle of the street, right? Because we loved them. But once our child became a teenager, of course they could run out in the street. Of course they could play football in the street if they wanted to. Are you kidding? Why? That's how life goes, from stricture to freedom. Because they were big enough to know if we don't live on a busy city street, if we live on a typical suburban, side street, one car comes by every 20 minutes, of course you can play football in the street. What are you thinking? Anyway, I do find it fascinating that really all of healthy life follows that same trajectory, from tightness to freedom, including, as we're seeing here, including art. I do remember very well in college, as you tragically know, I don't have a lot of great things to say about my college art experience. But I do remember very well sitting there looking at the slides of, say, Rembrandt's work. I remember very well the professor pointed out that when Rembrandt, for instance, was a young man, his paintings were much tighter. As he aged, his paintings got much looser. As a young smart aleck college kid at the time, I thought, well, yeah, it's because his eyesight got bad. And now that I'm that age, I think I was exactly correct. It was because of his eyesight. Be that as it may, though, the professor waxed euphoric as he described the beauty and superiority of Rembrandt's later paintings. And my euphoric professor was exactly correct. Nobody in their right mind thinks that the early Rembrandt paintings are better than the later ones. Everybody knows the later ones are better. I didn't know why at the time. I was told they were better and I sort of acquiesced. But now I feel like I do actually understand why they're better. I think it's some understanding of the aesthetic process, how it is that human beings experience aesthetic pleasure, what it is that creates visual aesthetic pleasure. There's no mistake, there's no accident that Rembrandt's later paintings were better than his earlier ones. My perspective does need to be correct here, doesn't it? Ooh, it is not correct. Hang on. Hang on. I think my under drawing got off here a little bit. Yes, it did. Oh, amazing how that can happen.
Looking good, Mr. Artist. Looking good.
Thank you. Looking good, Mr. Artist. That was from a bicycle rickshaw driver coming by. Can you figure it out? I dare not answer the question. It's an insult to your intelligence.
I'm just gonna guess. That is beautiful.
Thank you.
How long have you been working on that?
Last night about 5 until 8, and tonight
Wait,
for 2.5 hours.
Did you leave it here?
6 hours? You
Yeah.
did that?
Yeah, so far. No, I didn't leave it here overnight. Good question. But I did leave it here to go eat supper.
Pretty cool.
6 hours?
Wait, so that's here though, isn't it? I think I saw that. Oh.
There you
Look,
go.
Right?
There you I didn't make you do that, babe. I promise.
That is
Where do you guys live here or are you visiting?
No, God,
Yeah,
no.
we're visiting.
Can't you tell?
Yeah. Well, me too. I'm visiting. Where are you from?
Boston.
Boston.
Oh my goodness. Wow, you're far from home.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm from Raleigh, North Carolina, so took about as long to fly here as you did. No, you got here quicker than we did. Took us longer to drive than you did to fly.
It's a piano and it's only right here.
Yeah, cool. Have you been here? Have you been here before?
No.
I have.
It's amazing, isn't it?
It's beautiful.
It's
I
real.
came to see the college. Like
Oh, did you?
Yeah.
Really?
8 years ago.
To see the
probably.
college. You didn't go here.
No,
You
I
just
didn't
came to
come.
see it.
Yeah, I wish I did.
Yeah.
But yeah, I didn't.
You probably went
I
to
should
Boston
have, though.
College or something like that. Some second-rate
No, I went to
institution.
James Madison in
Oh.
Virginia. But I should have picked here because I come back now and I'm like, what was I thinking? Beautiful.
Yeah, it is beautiful. Thank you. Thank you.
Good luck.
Thank you. All right, hang on here. So I just did a bunch of stuff. Whoops, I almost went off the camera there, didn't I? By the way, do you like my new phone holder, camera holder? Okay, but I just painted from here, basically all the way down to here, in more or less the same pile of color that I had mixed up down there. Okay, and you regulars, you say, okay, you say with me. Here he goes. Okay, so after you've done that, you need to come back and mix up a color slightly lighter than that, and come back and touch little bits on top of it. It almost doesn't matter where, as long as it's just on top of what you just did. Not the whole, I don't mean on top of the whole thing, you understand, just here and there on top of the color you just put down. Okay, that's a rule. Every rule, of course, can be broken, but if you don't know the rule, you're probably just screwing up. So learn the rule, and then you learn when to break them. But you don't break them on a regular basis, because they're rules for a reason. They're rules because they usually work. So this is one of those. This is one of those that almost always works, almost always needs to be done. Let me repeat it for any new people. Once you enter the opaque realm of oil painting, which for many of you is from the get-go, from the very start, you understand that for me, I entered the opaque realm, so to speak, the opaque phase or stage of the painting, very, very late in the process, okay? But once I've entered it, so this rule applies to you if you enter it early, but once you've entered the opaque realm of painting, you put down any color. I don't mean just necessarily one dab, but 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 17 dabs, like I just did a minute ago. You put down any color, then it behooves you. I don't know if you feel behooving or not. It behooves you to come back, usually immediately thereafter, so you don't, because you already have that color in your brush. So it's easier just to go ahead and do it right then. You don't have to, but like I'm doing right now, I'm coming back as soon as I finish the first layer, coming back, and I'll put a slightly lighter. Now you may ask the question, well, does it work also if you put a slightly darker color on? The answer is a thunderous, emphatic, screaming, pull out my hair, no! No, 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 no. Lighter is the rule. Well, why, Mr. Dan? Why are you pulling out your hair? Doesn't look like that obvious to me. I know. Well, that's why you came to me, for obviousness. Whole bunch of reasons. Oh, and I repeat this stuff so many times. I feel sorry for my regulars, but maybe besides Murray, there's somebody else listening. You're giving me a lot of good excuses tonight, Murray, to rant, to pull out these oft-repeated rants that David earlier accused me of doing often. Of all the nerve. Okay, so here's one of the rules, if you will. Why can't you do a slightly darker color? Well, one of the most fundamental, this is about as fundamental as I can get in this regard, one of the most fundamental rules is this. The human eye, repeat after me, the human eye does not like to see dark paint on top of light paint. Conversely, the human eye likes, yes, to see likes to see light paint on top of dark paint. Now your next question is, really? I've never heard that before. Why? And at some point I'm going to get like the exasperated father of a 3-year-old child. I'm not at that point yet. At some point, because I said so, that's why. No, I'm not going to say that. I'm thinking it, but I'm not going to say it. Why? So why does the human eye like to see light paint on top of dark, but not dark on top of light? I honestly don't usually chase this line of questioning down this far. So let me see if I can put it into words. I'm not sure that I can. I might have to work on that a little bit. Let me think about it for a minute. Why, as I say, why does the human eye well, one reason is that dark paint, now this is assuming we're talking opaque, not transparent. But even then, the principle is still true. It's just less egregious if, in fact, the dark paint is transparent. So that's why I say you always get dark. If you need some part of your painting darker, you accomplish that darkening process by applying transparent. You get dark with transparent, light with opaques. Okay, I could wimp out and give you sort of a shorthand art professor answer. Nevertheless, one that gets us going in the right direction. Why doesn't the human eye like seeing dark paint on top of light? By the way, let me interrupt here, by the way. So I just painted basically this one column of this building all the way down, because this column, of course, is very close to the focal point, which is this whole column. With each, and then I'm going to paint this and this and this and this, probably, maybe not all at once. But you may be sure that this column is not going to be as finished as this one. It's going to be more loose and abstract. And again, and again. I'm saying that to you out loud, partly to remind myself, so that I don't screw up and forget in all my enthusiasm of teaching you about dark on top of light, that I lose track of where I am and turn off my brain and just start painting in auto mode. Right, so it's going to be less realistic than that. Okay, I'm off to a good start. All right, why doesn't the human eye like to see dark on top of light? One answer would be simply because it feels dirty. It looks dirty. It looks muddy. Man, it's just trust me. It's shut up and listen. No, it feels muddy. It feels dirty. That's not a very good answer. I know. I'm working on it. I mean, both of those are true, but that's sounds pretty subjective. It does indeed look muddy. That is true. does indeed look dirty, but there's got to be some better explanation for it than that. I'm sorry, I'm just being distracted by painting, if you can imagine such a thing. At some point, I may just throw in the towel and say, I'll get back to you on that. Why does the human eye? I'm not on the verge of changing my mind, mind you. I'm struggling to come up with good verbiage, good language to explain why that I'm absolutely positive that it is true. I would like to have a better explanation than simply because I said so.
Beautiful work.
Thank you.
Wow.
Thank you.
Now, I hate to buy, can I ask you a quick question?
Absolutely.
This restaurant
Is it for
closed.
sale?
No.
Oh.
This restaurant's closed that we're going to walk to, but where's someplace else to eat, you know?
That is a good question. Last night I was here, I'm not from here, I was here for the first time and I walked like 2 blocks that way, there was nothing that way. So Meeting Street, which is there, the church,
Yeah.
and it was about 2 blocks, but maybe 3
Yes.
that way, so about 4 blocks from here.
That way.
Yeah,
some
there's a whole
restaurants.
bunch up there.
Oh, where are you from?
Raleigh, North Carolina.
Raleigh.
Where are you from?
North of Chicago.
I was going to say,
So
you sound,
You came to
yeah,
some artwork?
well, we have family down here, but so we extended our visit so that I could stay. Let me get this out of your way since you're here.
Raleigh, North Carolina. And
Yeah.
You look for, we got to go down here to Meeting and make a left. and
Yeah,
go about 4
yeah.
blocks.
There's a whole bunch that way. I had to walk down there.
Didn't break your artistic.
Oh, it's ruined.
You
It's
know,
ruined.
You look great.
Thank
You
you.
are all decked
That's
out.
it's unfortunately I'm tucked away on this place where there's not much pedestrian traffic because I like onlookers. But I like the view even better. So
Oh yeah.
Now,
Yeah,
how
I
long
started
have you been working on
about 6 hours.
that? Really?
Yeah, I started last night.
Well, it's beautiful.
Thank you. Thank you.
Now, where is
Yeah.
this?
Oh,
Right
oh,
here.
yeah, there you go.
Right there.
Right there.
Okay.
That's right.
All right,
So see, he's right here. He's just given up scaffolding.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. Took out the scaffolding.
You have artistic license.
That's absolutely.
Okay.
Thank you. You're very welcome. Hope you have a great trip. Down here in the warm. Boy, isn't it hot down here? Whew.
Yeah, right.
We're at Wisconsin or Minnesota?
No.
Or Illinois.
North of Chicago.
Yeah, yeah. So, but not
Well,
that, not
Illinois, no.
still in Illinois.
Yeah, and she lives right on Michigan Avenue, right in
Oh,
the elderly.
no kidding. I grew up in Michigan.
She's going to be 85 next week.
Oh my goodness.
My wife.
Good for her.
She was just 77. Her birthday was Friday, the day we left.
Good for you.
Yeah. Take
Good
care.
for you. You too. No, that's fun.
Wow. Got your music? That's great.
Yeah, that's right. Okay, so let me finish. I'll come down here a little bit more. Lost my picture, hang on. Okay, and did I succeed in making the second column more abstract than the first? Yeah, I did. Well, I thought I was making a little bit more. Now it looks more realistic than I had intended. But that actually is part of the genius of good painting. I'm not saying I am a genius or conducted, but executed genius. But that is in fact good painting when it's all actually very abstract, but it has the impression, gives the feeling of realism. Okay, next column of this building. It's this big triangle up here. Not sure that's the right color. Let's put a little down and see if it is. That'll do for some of it. Am I on camera? Yeah, just barely, eh? I don't know if you can see all these runs, these drips of kind of aqua turquoise colored paint, which of course is once again a purely abstract element. Those runs, of course, I don't really need to say this, do I? But those runs are not reflective of any literal representational thing in the picture, right? Right? You understand that? Okay. So in a sense, logic would say, now that I'm maybe doing the final layer of this painting, logic would say that I should cover up things that are not realistic, right? That's logic. That's first half of art journey thinking. And not only am I not going to cover them up, I actually, as I've just done so far, I actually most typically take abstract elements like that and actually accentuate them, exaggerate them even more than they were by painting around them. I'm making my brush, lifting up my brush like I did right there, so as to, if you will, expose or reinforce. And that's more typical. Now, if there's a drip, say, that I find unattractive, then of course, then I cover it up. That's what this final edit layer is all about, is covering up what is not advantageous, beneficial, good-looking, attractive, fitting, and so forth, so on and so forth. The surprise, even to me, after all these years, is how often those purely abstract marks end up remaining in the final painting and look good in the final painting. Again, I talked about this earlier this evening. I can put it even more bluntly, maybe put it exaggerate a little bit to make the point that I don't get credit for painting this building accurately. I don't get points for painting the building accurately. I do get, so to speak, word picture language, I do get kicked out of the game for drawing the building poorly. Okay? If I misdraw it, then in a sense, in my world of painting, in the world of abstract realism, if I draw it poorly, I get kicked out of the game. But if I draw it accurately, I don't get any big credit. What I get credit for, so to speak, is all the crazy stuff that is not building. Let me zoom in here real quick and just make the point. So I have to draw, and the building here is drawn pretty darn accurately, okay? I think the perspective is right, and so on and so on and so forth, I think. That's not what I get credit for, but I do get credit for these crazy bluish, greenish lines and that red dot right there. and stuff like that. A green line right there. I do indeed get credit for that. I said the word color. I do indeed get credit for that. Not only so, but I'm going to jump ahead now to, just to make a point, I jump ahead to the broken color phase of my painting, which is usually the last thing I do in a painting is broken color. But I'm going to jump ahead and do a little bit right here. Again, just to make a point. I'm mixing up a bright, intense red-orange on my brush right now. And I'm going to put a red dot right there to keep company with that first red dot that was there. And red here to keep company with this red smudge that is right here. And what do I mean by keep company? Well, one of the things that I mean, anyway, I can't say that this is by any means exhausts the subject, but one of the things I mean by that is, and again, I'm going to do a red line right here. Even though this original little red dot was attractive, in my opinion, it could have been construed as an accident or a mistake. I mean, not really, but play with me. But once I've given it partners in the form of many other red dots, all of a sudden what could conceivably have been viewed as an error or a mistake is now clearly trumpeted as an intentionality. As such, the soul of the viewer, whoever that may be, of course that includes me, once I'm finished with the painting, I become a viewer too, but the soul of the viewer rests, relaxes in a sense, and says, oh, wow, he put that red stuff there on purpose. I mean, here's proof, because look, he put a bunch of it everywhere else too. So there's a whole little constellation of sparkle. I changed it to kind of a raspberry or bright plum color here, and partly because it's already here. I'm not making up colors out of whole cloth, as the expression goes. There's enough chaos in the underpainting. The canvas is saying to me, if I can call it, fuchsia, I'll call it the color fuchsia. The canvas is screaming out to me, fuchsia here, here, don't miss fuchsia, don't miss fuchsia. And indeed, I'm not going to miss it. So because the canvas there was already little hints of that there. All right, so I just jumped ahead for that little thing right there and did some broken color, just to make that point, that not only do those little incidentals or accidentals from the underpainting phase, not only do they not get eliminated, in most cases they get exaggerated. They get pushed even further. And again, to me, I think the psychology is quite simple in that case. And it's what I've already said, that once the viewer understands without any question that you did this or that very intentionally, it's not an accident, then they relax. They're not aware that they're doing this, of course. All of this is subconscious, but their soul, I like to say their inner person, that they're barely even aware of, their soul rests. Their soul goes, oh, he did that on purpose. And you know what? It's weird, but I kind of like it. And that is indeed how I think most people will respond to those. Hello, Uncle 60. Nothing is new, by the way. Did I tell you that, Uncle? They are going to send me a new Mevo. Isn't that great? Thank you so much. I'm not at home, so I can't. Anyway, they said, send us your old camera first, and then we'll send you a new one. And I'm going to get back to my buddy Joe Mevo, and say, Joe, I can't send you mine. I can't send you mine. I'll miss 10 days of broadcasting. So I said, will you please trust me? Here's my name, address, shoe size, firstborn child. I promise I'll send you the old one, but send me the new one first. So that's what I think is going to happen, and I think they'll probably go along with that. Okay, let me be careful here. It's just I am in danger of getting carried away, so that I render this panel. Hello.
Hey, sorry, I don't want to. I've never seen anything like this here before.
Really?
And I walk here often.
Do you really?
I live around.
Well,
the corner.
excellent.
It looks beautiful.
Thank you. Here, let me get this out of the way for a minute, because it's right over the focal point. There we go.
Yeah.
Is that passable?
Exactly. Yeah, it is. From here, it's this.
Exactly. Right here.
And you're very well dressed.
I am. I'm here to razzle dazzle. There's not many people to razzle dazzle, I see.
No, Monday night, this is quiet now. I like it.
Oh, thank you. Thank you.
And give it a couple of more months and it's very quiet here.
Yeah.
Because it's also cold.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like it. It's
Thank you. Thank you.
soft, warm colors.
Good. Yep.
Is this, you made this all yourself?
Yep. My mom didn't even help me. I did it by myself.
Yeah. I envy people who can paint. Who can
Thank
play
you.
music.
Thank you.
Is this music coming?
Yeah, I'm playing the music.
Yeah, it's okay.
Yeah, it's from my phone and little speaker down here. Here's the speaker that's making all that noise. Isn't that something? That little Bose.
Oh, both.
Yeah, Bose, they're great.
Yeah, I don't want to interrupt you.
That's all right. Thank you. That's all right. I'm glad
Is
to
this
talk
going
to you.
Be somewhere in the galleries here?
Nope, I'm not. I'm from North Carolina.
Okay.
We have family, we have relatives here in Charleston, so we visited them, and I said, well, let's stay 2 days extra so I can get some work done. This is my job. I'm a full-time painter,
Okay.
so I'm delighted to be painting here in your beautiful city.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. Where are you from originally?
I'm finished.
Are you?
Yeah.
And how long you been in the States?
Oh.
50 years.
Not quite.
Not
but
quite.
Almost. You know.
Almost.
I came here first time. Well, first time I came here in the 60s.
Uh-huh.
Like permanently living here, I
Yeah.
came here in 1979.
Okay, yeah,
70.
40 years, 40 years,
78.
41 years.
Yeah. 10 more years.
And how long have you been in Charleston?
Since 84.
Yeah, it's such a beautiful, I think this is the fourth time I painted in Charleston.
Yeah.
I like painting architecture, as you
Yeah,
can see.
exactly. Yeah, I like
And
it.
it is so beautiful. Oh my goodness.
It is.
Everywhere, every street in this
Not
downtown.
even that,
Do you really?
Next street, which is King Street.
Yeah, yeah,
Block up on Queen.
yeah.
Close there. We have a nice. And I maintain my physical condition just walking. I'm
Yes.
not running anymore.
Yes, right. Me too.
I got that Forrest Gump moment long time ago. I
Yeah.
said, I'm tired. I'm gonna go home. Remember that?
Yes, I do. It's
Yeah.
good for you.
But now walking is my life.
Yeah, that's
I
good.
really enjoy it.
That's
And
good.
Then that also gives you time to see.
That's right.
around you.
That's right.
And you walk,
Exactly.
Running.
That's right.
You
You're looking
go
too
like-
clear. You don't want to twist your ankle.
Yeah, and you go like a horse.
That's right.
Hey,
Well, what fun.
Nice talking to you, sir.
Very good talking to you. Bless you.
Nice picture.
Oh, sweet, sweet, sweet. Finish, man. I don't know if you got that or not. Okay, I was probably in the middle of something, wasn't I? If you want to watch my broadcast, you just got to get used to me dropping subjects. I would like to mend my ways, but it's not likely to happen. What was I in the middle of? Oh, there's a palm tree.
I may have forgotten to tell you something.
Yes,
I told you I'm finished,
yes.
but I didn't tell you that I'm not finished.
That's right.
Yes.
Very good. Very good. Thank you. He's finished, but he's not finished. Okay, so little mistake here, a little note to self. I had a palm tree here, and I've just about, not with this layer, I mean with previous layers, I've just about eliminated it. I think I can get it back in there. Hang on, let me do a detour here. Okay, I'm sure I was talking about something else, and now I've completely forgotten what it was. So, I'm sure it was definitely important. Palm trees are, as I said earlier, just a huge, huge element in the South Carolina and Charleston in particular cultural image. Okay, back to this building now. Leaving a break for a palm tree. That. Oh yeah, there we go. The palm tree did make it into my photograph. Good. That will definitely help. Foxhole Willie. David, I saw your comment about those windows. And just start out by just messing them up, that's all. And Foxhole Willie. Some of you saw that I posted a new photo, what do you call it? You know, photo ID, on Facebook. Foxhole Willie said he didn't recognize it because it was the front of my it was the front of my face, the front of my head instead of the back. I'm just gonna paint a little bit down there and come back and do. You know what I might do right now? Since I just did one palm tree, let's just go ahead and do another one right now. Time to get out some yellow. By the way, for what it's worth, here's a topic I haven't covered in a while. This is permanent gelb. Permanent yellow, light. Any of those light yellow colors, cad yellow light, lemon yellow, Hansa yellow, evidently permanent gelb yellow. For you beginners or early journey painters, all of those colors, that is, again, they're the light ones. Cad yellow light or imitation. I don't use cads at all, but I will use a cad yellow imitation. I use it. That is the one imitation, in my opinion, that looks okay, is the yellow. If you're an early journey painter, I beg of you, do not think of those yellows, this yellow like this. Do not think of them as yellow. In your inner mind category, put them in the green category. Okay? Let me show you. I'll show you my palette here in just a second. You're saying, what? What? It's not green, it's yellow. Okay, hang on. So your warmer yellows, like cad yellow deep, or imitation, or Indian yellow. Yellow ochre is not a yellow at all, that's a brown. So do not put yellow ochre in among your yellows. Your brain, your language tells you, because it's called yellow, your language tells you it's a yellow, but your eye says, that ain't yellow, that's brown. You know, obey your eyes, not your language. All right, okay, real quick, since I got on the subject that far. So here's my palette. I'm not going to give a whole tour of I've done that before, I'm not doing it right now. Here's purple, permanent rose, naphthol, scarlet lake, any old orange, Indian yellow, and I could have a cad yellow, medium, or dark here. But this is the one I'm talking about. And you'll notice this is my, at the moment, only green on my palette. It's in the green category. I mean, it's right between yellow and green. But in your mind, you should think of those bright, light yellows, you should think of those as greens, not as yellow. Because if you conceive of them, let me see if I can get rid of that. Pardon?
Shutting it down for
No,
the night?
not yet. I'm still going strong. I'm just moving things around.
So why do you do this at night?
Oh, because the light was perfect at 5:30 or 6, and this is my job. So I don't want to come down at noon and paint through the blazes until the light gets right and then it disappears. So I come down at 4, light's perfect at 5, but this is my work day. So the question is, why do you have such a good light? And I just answered that at the same time. Yeah, no, this is my job. So I am at work. And it's...
How long does it take you to paint something?
That is a very good question. I've got 6.5 hours so far probably into this one. Last night, and I started last night, so I did the same thing, came down at 4. Yeah, and probably 3 more hours. So yeah, it's a great living if somebody buys it.
What does that cost?
$2,400. Yeah, which is a go down to that gallery and then come back and say, "Dang, you're a bargain." Yeah, there are a lot of galleries in town. Yep. Do you all live here? Or visitors like me?
We moved from North Dakota to south of Knoxville, and we just showed up today as kind of a week-long vacation.
What fun! What fun! Yeah, I grew up in Michigan. We lived in Minnesota, my wife and I, for a number of years.
Minnesota?
Yeah, Minnesota, and the cities, the cities. And now we live in Raleigh, North Carolina, which is about a 4-hour drive from here. So we're visiting family, and so I just extended the visit a couple more days so I can get some work done. Just this. Yeah.
Looks good.
Yeah. Thank you. I take it trash isn't pickups in the morning, right? Okay. I'll be pulled off long before that. So how do you paint trees, even palm trees? One of the answers to that question is in layers, by degrees, by stages, never all at once. Layer upon layer, stage upon stage, phase upon phase. That's how you paint good trees, okay? That's the part of the process anyway. So I'll stop there. Now I wonder if I've got this wonderful green color on my brushes right now. Is there anywhere else it's crying out for green? Yeah, maybe a little bit right here. Some palm trees in the distance. Just a hint of palm trees down there. There are, in fact, trees down there. I looked earlier when the sun was shining. All right, break, just a few minutes break here to raise. I'm going to keep broadcasting, but I'm going to take a minute to raise up my easel again. How high do I want it? I guess that'll do. What time is it? 9:20. I told my wife I might finish around 9:30. I certainly was hoping to get further along than I am. But there you go. better to finish a painting well than to finish a painting quickly. Anybody else out there ever learned that lesson the hard way? Better to finish, take your time. I already mentioned earlier tonight that I still have enough of the old illustrator in me, and I don't apologize for that. I know how to work hard and fast, and I can't imagine you couldn't make a living if you didn't work hard and fast. It's hard enough making a living as it is. If you work slow, it's just not going to happen. But anyway, I have at least another good 15 minutes in me, so I think I'm going to sit down. I've been painting up here quite a bit, and oh my goodness, I hope I haven't overpainted that. Everything. In fact, having just said that, I am actually going to pick up a rag, dip it in a little bit of Gamsol. I'm just going to, this blue, which I love, and I loved when I was doing it, I still kind of love it, but just too much of a good thing. Just too much of a good thing. Oh, I didn't finish that flag while I was up in the neighborhood. How about I'm not removing paint now as much as I'm just smearing it around. Let me point out something. You old timers, you realize this, but how do I know that all these violent, spontaneous, uncontrolled strokes that I'm doing with and I really am moving a lot of paint around. I don't know if you could see that or not. How do I know it's going to look good? Do you know the answer to that question? You old timers should know the answer. Why? How do I know that's going to look good? Well, first of all, if it doesn't look good, I can take a finger or a brush and diminish some of the effect of the rubbing. But that's not the real answer. Okay, the answer is because of the manner in which I am rubbing. That's dry. Wow, that's amazing. Because of the way that I'm moving. Okay, that's the answer. Any stroke, including a stroke of a finger in a rag. Now, bear with me just a minute. I did invest in and I'm not sure that this is a whole lot better. I've got a wet wipes kind of thing here. It's not wet wipes, but I like it. Hang on just a second while I find the clean end, if you will. Okay, how do I know it's going to look good? The answer is because any stroke applied with strength, joy, boldness, enthusiasm, vigor and so forth, is going to look good. Okay, the confidence that it's going to look good is founded in the manner in which I am moving. It's not. I'm not, as you can tell, I'm not being accurate or precise or careful. Not at all. If you thought I was being careful at that speed, you're crazy. You think I'm a lot better athlete than I am, if you call it that. No, it's not based on the accuracy of the mark. It's based on the boldness, as you saw, full-bodied, full arm. That's how I know it's going to look good, and almost always does. Now, by the way, now that I've done that, I find that this passage in here is asking me for more texture, more scratchy, pencil-like texture. So I'm glad to oblige. That's enough of that. Enough of that for now. All right, let's sit down. It'd be a nice way to end the evening. By the way, what's worth, I do have one of these scooshy, ooshy, gooshy pads. I had one a couple years ago, lost it somewhere, and got by without it for a long time, and said, dang, that's enough of that. So I bought a new one, and boy, am I happy. So when I'm out here on the sidewalk, I am indeed standing on a cushy foam thing, whatever you call it. Sorry, I'm trying to find last night's photographs because it has last night's cars in it, which is what I want. Hang on just a second. Let me. Oh, this battery is high. By the way, here's another trick for what it's worth. Velcro on the battery pack, Velcro on the back of the phone so that they stick together and I can plug them in. Just for lots and lots of little tricks. You may have noticed. Lots of little tricks make this business possible. Okay, I want to work on this. I've got miles to go down here. Well, no, that's misleading. No, I do have a lot of work down here, but much of the work will not be detail-focused, realistic rendering. Okay, much of it needs to be abstract, but a little bit. Let me bring you guys in here a little bit closer. I do want you to see in me. Oh my, good chat's going on. Somebody had Murray, I love it. I love Uncle 68 months. Yeah. Yes, he has certainly absolutely tried my method. Thanks for asking, Marita. You're just making yourself just a delightful part of this community. Thanks for joining us. All right, I'm going to zoom in here. Again, here's my photograph. It's very, very luxury to have a good photograph of the two cars that I like. I like them basically because one is black and one's white. That's good. And they're both small. That's good. And Uncle, please feel free. I know, and any of the rest of you who are, if you will, struggling to incorporate some of my technique in your painting. I know you do this, but please don't hesitate to ask specific questions. Once you've tried something, either had mixed success or so on, please continue to feel free to say, well, I tried this or I tried that, and you know, here's what I don't get yet. That kind of thing. Feel free to do that, of course. I know you will. Okay, this that I'm doing right here, as you can see, I've got the photograph of the car right there, just outside of your range of vision, and I'm looking at it right much, and I've already, of course, as you can see, I've already drawn this car quite a bit, and the good news is I can relax mostly because the drawing that I've already done is done and is quite accurate. Okay, so I'm not having to sweat. It took me several layers. It didn't happen all at once. It took me several layers to get to that point, of course. But now that I'm, whoops, here's a mistake. Hang on. Not above making corrections at any point in the process. But now that this is what I'm doing right here is a good example of what I've been talking about a lot in the last 2 days, which is we do not paint loose. It'd be better to say we paint tight. That is to say we draw and render accurately, tightly, tight drawing, rendered with energetic strokes, or brush strokes with good energy. And what I'm doing right here, again, having done most of the drawing satisfactorily, what you see me doing is drawing still carefully, accurately. The word should not be. If you watch these strokes, I don't think you'd say they're loose. That is not a good description, I don't think, of what I'm doing. Tight would be a better description, but with good energy. Kind of slow motion energy, isn't it? Every once in a while, a little, what shall we call it, spastic, forgive me, that's probably a politically incorrect term, forgive me. It's spontaneous, that's not an adequate term. How do you like those marks? Those are completely abstract. And now I'm not crazy about that mark they just put there. But I remove it, if you will, with vigor. That's vigor with an English accent, maybe. Vigor. There's a slight green tint down here, which I find. Uncle 60, bless your heart, thank you. Hey gang, Uncle 60, every once in a while he comes and reminds the rest of us how to give me a super chat contribution. I appreciate that very much. For shoe inserts. Funny you should say that. If I were to take the time, you never know, I might someday. I am wearing shoes. I'm wearing nice dress tuxedo type shoes right now. They have not only one inserts in them, they have two. But thank you. I'll start my collection for my replacement pair. That's right. I have two insoles in my shoes. They're good shoes to begin with good padding, and two insoles. One is an orthotic, one is something else we got from our physical therapist several years ago. Thank you. I appreciate that very much. You are seeing, of course, every once in a while like that. My hand makes just a spontaneous move, and if I feel like I've got too many of those right here now, so they're real easy to erase, if you will, or to diminish. So you don't have to be afraid to let your hand do that, because if you do something, if your hand does something you don't like, it's really pretty easy to remedy, which is what you just saw me do, all of that right there. Okay, now I do not want too much detail on this car. I think that's probably enough. I'm going to do just a little bit of dark stuff on this car. So I'm mixing up a Thank you, Michael, for reminding the rest of it. I mean, thank you, Uncle 60, aka Horatio, for reminding us that Michael Van Dusen is actually Deborah. Deborah flying in under the radar, under her husband's name, I think. I can't remember. She explained the reason for that some time ago. Thanks for blowing her cover for us, Uncle. I think I called you Michael earlier this evening. That's what I'm getting at here, Deborah. I think I called you Michael. I can't imagine why. It's just what your screen name is. That didn't not have very much effect, all that scratching. I've been all right, sorry gang, I think I'm back, or will be in a moment anyway. I may disappear on you again because my Mevo is running on external power. It's not always completely reliable. Sorry about that. Hopefully we can keep going. It is just about time to wrap up here. I'm actually feeling quite good, which is encouraging. Work hard, it keeps you young. Hey, maybe a couple last before I wrap it up for the night. One good thing would be to make some progress. I've got dark stuff on my brushes right here, so I have two figures here. One seems to me to be a woman. Nah, I don't like her head tilting that way. we go. Tilting the other way, it's okay. Ooh, arm forward. That's a nice thought. Yeah, and definitely putting her in a skirt is appropriate here. I happen to be on a street with lots of professionals, attorneys' offices and things like that, so I think he actually, man in a coat and tie is actually quite appropriate. What was this big, that was supposed to be a window. That needs some work, doesn't it? This great big blue streak you see right there is completely abstract. That's part of my original abstract underpainting still showing through. I pretty much like it. I don't think at least at this point, I'll paint a little bit of gray stuff over it, but whoops, that line's not right. But at the moment, whew, running into some serious perspective issues here. Okay, let's. Is this line correct? Boy, that would be a mess if that wasn't. No, that one's pretty much okay. It's a little bit curving. I'm not sure I want it to curve. So let's see what happens if I straighten it out down here. Yeah, that's all right. There we go. All right, and since I'm down here, sitting down, and since I'm hey, Moraid, thank you, my dear. That is, boy, that is exactly correct of you. I mean, I'm sorry. Hang on. Loud truck going by. I don't mean that I've done a great job. That's not what I mean. Maybe I have. I don't know. But you are correct in analyzing a painting in that manner. So you have clearly have some understanding. That is a great way. That's not the language I usually put. Exactly, grouped together beautifully, lights and darks grouped together. But that is a great way to put it. Yeah. Thank you. I think it's got potential. I think what I aimed for in this painting was basically a large V of light with kind of a bulb at the bottom. And then everything else is midtones and darks. But grouped together is very appropriate verbiage. Okay, I think I'm going to mess with this sidewalk a little bit. Now, as you can imagine, I want minimal information, minimal representation down here. At the moment, I'm trying to match the color that's right here. I'm trying to come up with an opaque version of what is here actually the result of many layers of various colors of transparent layers. I'm trying to match it in the opaque realm, if you will. Match in color, opaque, what is the result of many layers of, whoops, that's not a good match. Oh, come on. Oh, come on. Went from bad to worse. None of you guys ever do that, I'm sure. Mixing colors, it's like, oh, too much brown, and then so you add, I'll add some phthalo blue. It's like, oh, dang, of course, phthalo blue, you guys know. That is phthalo blue's middle name. Phthalo, whoops, too much blue. I've never said that before, that's kind of funny. Phthalo, whoops, too much blue. I hope I can remember that. That's a clever one right there. You know, it's only funny to us weird artists, because you know it's true. Phthalo, whoops, too much blue. Anyway, there. How many? I'm like my 6-year-old grandchild. If it was funny once, say it 7 more times. Hey, what happened to my music? I've been enjoying this music all evening. It is conceivable that I actually ran through an entire playlist. Not likely. Let's go to a different playlist. How about that? Let's see if I'm in the mood for mellow jazz. Oh, it came back. I pay a monthly fee, by the way, for what it's worth. I pay a monthly fee to an outfit called Epidemic Sound. An outfit evidently out of Scandinavia somewhere. And they provide you with copyright available music for a fee. And I really like it. I've spent quite a few hours, you know, while I'm broadcasting, selecting pieces that I like and putting them in playlists. All right. Well, thank you.
Yes, sorry, 1 second. This is gorgeous. And I love your bow tie, by the way.
Thank you. Thank you. Compliments on the painting, and compliments on the bow tie too. Took me a long time, many years, to settle on this wardrobe. Finally, somehow it just seems appropriate, just fits me. I've never been a bow tie wearer, except with a tux, you know. Never been a bow tie wearer in my life. But all of a sudden, and this bow tie actually somebody gave to me as a gift. And I know I wear it so much I really need another one. Give this one a break. Deborah, once while I was sleeping, I said, art is like flying, to my husband. He didn't get it. Deborah, maybe it's a guy thing. I hate to admit it. I'd much rather sit here and appear smart. I'm not getting it either. Sorry. I really feel stupid. I'm sure it's brilliant. I should have kept my mouth shut and just pretended that I got it. To Deborah, I need your help. Probably insulting everybody's intelligence if you have to explain it. And Moraid says, Dan, you've inspired me to take a step beyond. Good for you. You are very, very welcome. I can't tell you how fun it has been to have you with us tonight. I'm very glad to have been any kind of inspiration whatsoever. Oh, it is getting late. I've told Nancy she can always, get on her YouTube and Deborah, in your sleep, you said art is like flying. Oh, I think I'm getting it out. You said to your husband, art is like flying. Gotcha. He didn't get it. I think I get it now. Correct. He didn't understand because he's not an artist, right? Better late than, And 3 guesses what color that lady's dress is going to be. That's a joke. It's to you regulars, because it's going to be red. Yep, perfect. By the way, that was a little bit of fuzz, wasn't it? Fuzz layer there. That's actually where the fuzz layer started. Deborah, good. I get it. A little slow. I just had to relax and stop working so hard. I'm giving all these red lights their next layer. Well, I certainly have caught my second wind here. It was going out to supper. Oh, good for you, Deborah. I love it when you know what I'm going to do before I do it. Good for you. Yes, indeed. That's partly, obviously because I do the same things to some degree over and over. I was thinking earlier tonight, I was sort of teasing myself about, thank you.
Hey, are you selling it?
Yeah.
How much?
2,400. Yep.
You got a card?
Yeah.
Yeah, I had to drive back around. I got my
Did you really? A man yelling from his car, asking if it's for sale. Do you live here? There you are.
Yeah, I got a place here in Savannah. I come back and forth.
Excellent. There I am. I'm Dan Nelson. What's your name?
Cool. Richie Sturgis.
Hi, Richie.
Oh, I love it.
Yeah, come in, look at it.
Yeah, so cool.
It's not done yet.
Yeah.
It'll be. I'm from Raleigh, going home tomorrow.
Okay.
It'll be a couple days,
Yeah.
but you're seeing essentially what it's going to look like.
So you don't live here?
Nope.
Oh.
But I ship paintings all over the country.
Yeah.
No
so
problem.
So you have a website of whatever?
Yeah, absolutely.
Different
Yeah,
stuff?
yeah. So, but if you're interested, I mean, like I'm broadcasting on YouTube right now.
Yeah. Okay. Sorry,
And you
interrupt.
can no, they love it. They love it
Okay.
when people show up.
Cool.
Feel free to watch me, paint it and see how it looks like when it's done.
Yeah. How long before it's done?
I get home tomorrow, middle of the day. If I jump on it, it'll be done by nighttime.
I got you.
Wednesday probably latest.
I'll look you
Yeah,
up.
Richie.
Yeah, Sturgis. Yeah.
Excellent.
What are you doing in Charleston?
Well, we have family here. My wife's brother, and he's the AD at Charleston Southern.
Nice.
And
I
so,
like art, man. I got a few
Do you
art
really?
paintings. Yeah.
excellent.
People are like,
Excellent.
oh, you're too young to art. I'm like, 35. I'm getting old.
Thanks for stopping, Richie. I'd love to hear from you. Give me a yell.
Yeah, I want to look your stuff up.
Please do. Thanks. Thanks for stopping, Richie. Oh, sometimes. So funny. The technology here. Anyway, funny things happen. I get two echoes of myself. Everything I say, I hear about 2 seconds later in my right ear, okay? And that's quite important. It really doesn't distract me very much because I've gotten used to it, but it helps me know if my broadcast stops. That's why I knew a few minutes ago, as soon as it quit, I knew it because I couldn't hear myself anymore. But then I get an echo of myself about 30 seconds later out of my iPad. So a second ago, I heard some crazy guy laughing over to my left. I jerked around to see if somebody was laughing at me. It wasn't somebody, it was me on my iPad laughing. Anyway, oh boy. Okay, so I'll probably be giving all of these taillights and everything even an additional set of layers, tomorrow or the next day, whenever I finish this painting. And here's an exaggerated statement, so take it as an exaggeration, but I won't exaggerate. You can almost not overdo glow. You can almost not overdo lights that are glowing, bright lights. You can almost not overdo it. I'm sure that's technically not correct. You can overdo it, but almost. So again, they'll all be getting even an additional layer or two when I finish this painting. It looks a bit like there's a fire truck down here. I hope I'm kidding. I do hope I'm kidding. Was I saying anything important before that young man came by? Some of you will notice, by the way, some of you regulars, I'm on the streets of Raleigh. I will sell a painting evidently for as little as $500, $700, you've noticed. That's in Raleigh. That is not in Charleston. Hello.
Hi.
If you stand there for 3 hours, you get into painting.
Oh. Wow. Enjoying your work. You are so talented. Wow. That's beautiful.
Thank you. Oh, yes, thank you. Please point this out to your friends if they're not getting it.
No, see, that's it. Yes, exactly, it is.
Quite. I'm not just standing out here on the sidewalk because I like the sidewalk. And the only reason for setting up an easel is so you can paint what's there.
Wow, that is so cool. How long did that take you?
I started last night, so I've probably got 7.5 hours in it, maybe, at this point.
Wow, how much longer do you have to go?
Couple hours.
Couple hours.
Yeah, not tonight. I'm just about to wrap up. But, yeah. Thank you.
Have a good night.
Thank you. For some reason, I'm just in the last few minutes, I just got really tickled with this orange color that I have on my brushes. Decided, yeah, I need an orange. Doggone it, that's the trick. I need an orange on this painting. What am I thinking? Orange, orange, more orange, more orange. A little late fuzz layer. Spurt of fuzzing there. Yeah. Yeah. Well, that's a nice way to end the night. With a sudden burst of good painting. Keep at it long enough, sooner or later, some good painting will happen. That's the ticket. I got a tree growing right out of the top of this lady's head. We're gonna make the trees fade down a little bit so they don't look like they're on the same plane with her head. Charleston women are particularly sensitive to palm trees growing out of their heads, so. And then, as you can imagine, since I've just fuzzed this whole thing like crazy, then coming back and doing some scratchy. Oh, this man, he's carrying a briefcase. There we go. Whoa. Whoa. Woman's carrying a shoulder strap satchel purse thing. Here's the ticket. Looks kind of like Adolf Hitler. Not a good look. I should have quit while I was ahead. Oh yeah, you're right. You are exactly right, Uncle. How long did it take me? I shouldn't say 8 hours and then ask for $2,400. People do the math. They go, doggone it. You've all heard probably that old, how long did that painting, how much for that painting? Yeah, $2,400. How long did it take you? 65 years and 8 hours. Which is pretty true. All right, I'm beginning to not trust my judgment, so it is way past time to quit. I've got a big black blob up there. Don't worry about it. It's going to get taken care of. It's going to turn into a window actually in the house, but it'll be very abstract. Pushed back there. There are a lot of nice little passages in this painting for your eye to go exploring in. I think it. David, you're exactly correct. It is, and I actually have it. That is $24.75 is technically the price for 30 by 40 for me right now at the moment, and that it is. I do have a price list in my phone at all times, so I can access it if I can't remember. The smaller it is, the more it is per square inch. The bigger it is, the less per square inch. It's a curve, right? It's not a straight line. So I charge more per square inch for small paintings, as you can imagine, as is only logical, sensible. All right. There's a lot of nice things about this painting. I am a little worried that when all is said and done, that I'm going to like this afternoon's version better than I will the final version. I'm a little worried about that, but be that as it may, that's the way it's going to be. Let me pick you up and let you see some stuff up close. I mean, I'm trying to think. I'm not particularly thrilled with that. I like where it's going. I guess I'm pretty happy with, that is a terrible glare, isn't it? Let's try that. Okay, I'm pretty happy with that. I'm happy with this. That's going to get just a little bit more work. This may be all done, I don't know, except for the final glaze. I will no doubt be glazing this entire painting when I finish. I'll do a final glaze, and at the very least, glaze and white. Every once in a great while, that's all I do on the final glaze, is give it the whole thing of glaze of any colors I want, and then wipe off the highlights, and I'm done. That doesn't happen very often, but it has happened a few times. That would be nice if I can get this painting to that point. But I'm not even to that point yet. I have enough work to do. A little disappointed in time frame, but that's not, as I said, I really dare not let myself go down that road of being in such a hurry that I rush it. Now, that's basically how I did paint for 15 years until the beginning of this past year, when I did the big stuff, and I took a real shift in my painting. Even though I'm painting smaller again till I have buyers for the big stuff. I'm painting small, but retaining the growth that I think I achieved in the first half of this year when I was doing those huge paintings and taking all the time I needed. So that's part of the reason why I have definitely slowed down in my painting. I used to be almost a point of pride for me that I could come out here, whip out a painting in 4 hours. And they were okay. Some of them were surprisingly good, but I don't want to go back to that. You know, I like my paintings now better. I've even been such a smart aleck at times in the past that I will set up my easel right outside a gallery. I mean, I get permission. I set up my easel right outside a gallery door, paint for 4 hours, and say, "There, do you like me?" And on at least the 2 occasions when I did that, they said, "Heck yeah," and hired me, brought me in on their gallery on the spot. I'll only do that if I really feel inspired now. All right, 10 after, almost 10:15. been a good night. Thank you guys for all your company. Thank you again, Horatio, for your generous contribution. Let me see if there's any other chats I need to get right before I leave here tonight. You are right, Deborah. Be careful with the glaze. You're exactly correct, but I will be. I will be. It'll be very gentle up here. You're right. And likely that would be the one place where it would get wiped off the most, but it does seep into the cracks, into the crevices, and really exaggerate the impasto of the paint ever so slightly, and that is one of the things I like about it. It gives it almost an antique look, but I want it to be this light. So typically when I glaze, I do come back and do tiny bits of highlight again. All right, Adolf and Eva. Oh boy. Oh yeah, you're right. It looks like lights on the top of that blue car. I better watch out for that, huh, David? Okay, I'll try to fix that later. All right, you guys, been great fun. Appreciate your company. I hope to paint tomorrow, but no promises. It's going to be a very busy week. Next weekend, crazy busy. 2 major events that I'm painting at. Hope to broadcast both of those. And then the weekend after that is Art of the Carolinas. All right, thanks. Bye.